I expect people wonder sometimes how I got to go to Canada. Well, I was on night duty at a general hospital in Chertsey, and my husband was at a mental hospital at Virginia Water. And I had just finished 3 nights of nights, and I went home, and our son was quite small at the time, 2 years old. And I said to my husband, I'm going to bed. He said, turned around, he said, no, you're not. We're going to London. We're immigrating. And I just looked at him, and he said, you can get tin ready, and we're going. And we're going to immigrate to Canada, or if you like, we can go to Australia. But being as you know somebody in Canada, I think Canada's the choice. So no discussion, just we're going. So we went to London, and we went to the Canadian Embassy. We were there for a long time, and when we came out, our papers were all filled in. A year later, we had our posting, or we had to have jobs. And being both nurses, that was no problem. They found us jobs for us. And a year later, we went. I believed in God at the time, but something had happened in my life, which I won't mention, which put me off the church completely. And we went, and we arrived in Ottawa with £50 in our pockets and had nowhere to live. And it was April, and snow was still on the ground in Ottawa. But we went to a travel agency that was on the station in Ottawa, and they got us into the YMCA. And that was the beginning of our journey into Ottawa. But thinking back of things that happened after that, I could see where the Lord was with me, even though I didn't know it. I think he meant us to go to Canada. And then we seemed to be we went to a meeting in Ottawa of the Ontario Nursing Association. We never had a time off together, but this particular evening we were off. And a gentleman came up to Bill, and he said, I understand you're both nurses. Would you be interested in working up in the north of Canada with the Department of Health and Welfare, Indian Affairs? Once again, my husband says yes. Not Mary, would you like to go? So we go for the interview. It lasted 2.5 hours with Dr. Weep. And by the time we came out, papers were signed, we were going up to Moose Factory, the base of James Bay, the end of the railway at Moosonee, and we had to get into a snowmobile because it was winter time. It was March when we had to go up before the breakup of the rivers. Moose Factory is an island 3 miles away. And Mary lost her handbag on the train going up. And my passport was in there, and there was $200, which was to last us the month for our food. Mary lost a lot, along with my driving license, which we had struggled to get. Bill and I both had our license because we needed it for the department. And that was the beginning of a journey. We arrived in March. July, Bill was asked by Dr. Harvey if he'd go up to Great Whale, up on the Hudson's Bay. Once more, William says yes. Mary's not consulted. And Mary could not go because there was no post at that particular time for a second nurse. So Mary stays behind with Tim at Great Whale. And the only way to get up there was by plane, which was a single-engined aircraft. No seats, no heating, no safety belts whatsoever. You had to sit on mailbags. Well, that was July, and in September, Mary decided, there was no word from Bill. When an aircraft came down every 2 weeks during the summertime, no message. There was no phones. So Mary got tired of this. So she goes to Dr. Harvey and asks when I'm going up. This was Friday after my shift. And I had already written my resignation out in my pocket. So he told me, he said, I don't know, Widow. He always called me Widow Cowley. I don't know, Widow Cowley, when you're going up. I said, right, except this. And I slapped the envelope down on his desk. He picked it up, tore it up without even opening it, threw it in the basket and said, you're not to do anything until you hear from me. And the next morning he took the train out to Ottawa, which would take him 36 hours to get there. And he only went out 3 times a week and only came in 3 times a week. And on the Monday evening, I had a message to say that I could go up at the earliest opportunity, and I had a flat to get ready to be packed to go to Ottawa in storage. And I had 24 hours to get Tim and me ready to go up on the next aircraft. And I think, on looking back, the Lord made that happen, because that winter, we were only there 6 months before Bill was asked to move again. Yes, we moved again. But we had the last, I think it was called the Asian flu that winter. We had no beds. Our office was a room with a large X-ray in there and a desk and a chair. That was our nursing station. So everybody had to be nursed in their tents because we had Eskimos there and we had Cree Indians there. Then we moved again down to Rupert's house. We were only there 3 months when Bill was asked to go up, further up. And in all these places, we had no doctor, no dentist, no X-ray technician, no mechanic. And we were doctor, nurse, mechanic, whatever turned up. And there were many times after that we moved again to Port Harrison, which is now called Inukjuak. And then we were asked to open a new nursing station 150 miles further up the coast. Bill went up in the July of 1959. Mary was not allowed up there until February of 1960, because there was no one to take place at Port Harrison. And then again, the Lord was there. Because we had a measles epidemic. We only had 3 beds and 1 cot. We had pneumonia epidemics up there too. And my policy was not to admit any serious cases, because there was no point in having them in a place of 78 degrees Celsius of Fahrenheit, a warm place, and then sending them home in an igloo that was only 32 degrees. It was only asking for more problems. So they were all nursed in their own homes with pneumonia. And we had epidemics in the spring and in the fall when the planes started coming, because you didn't have planes for 3 months in the spring. And again, from September to December, you didn't have planes because of the ice melting and forming. It had to be a certain thickness before the planes could start to come in and land. But during the measles epidemic, we had to have them in because I did the outside work, Bill did the inside work. I hated correspondence and writing letters and the red tape that was involved, and Bill didn't mind it, so leave Bill to do that and I'll do what I like to enjoy. And I started, a little boy came up, was discharged from Moose on the last aircraft in 1962. I think it was about the mid-October, if I can remember rightly, when the last aircraft came in. And they had had measles down at the hospital. And this little one came back, and within 3 weeks, we had our first measles. And within 3 weeks, we had 352 cases of rip-roaring measles. And they started, the men started first, and I would go around, and there was one gentleman that I saw, and he was choking. He was lying on his back, and he was in a tent at the time. No beds, no furniture, just lying just on the ground. And I lifted him up by the shoulders and bent him right forward and started pounding his back to get him to breathe. And it was this type of patient that we admitted to the nursing station, and we had one room with 2 beds in. And the Lord must have told me what to do, because I'd never seen it done before. We had 2 kettles, electric kettles, and we filled both the kettles. And it was Bill's job to keep them full and steaming. And we noticed that the steam helped the patient to breathe more easily and start coughing and bringing up all this muck from the chest. And once they started breathing, the rash came out. And we used the school, and we just sent them straight over to the school to be looked after by the teachers over there. But that went on for about a month before it started easing up. And at the height of it, Bill and I never slept. We never laid down for 7 nights because we just couldn't. We had to keep going. And a lot of the things that we did automatically. But the Lord gave us the strength to do it. It doesn't matter what we go through. The Lord is there. He's helping us. He's giving us the strength to do it. And it's only recently, well, over the last few years, that I have realized how much the Lord was with me all my life, not knowing it. Because there's times when I shouldn't be here even talking to you today. Why am I still here, I ask myself. Why am I warden of Brampton Ash at the age of 95? I shouldn't be doing it. But something keeps telling me that I have to. That I have to do it. So during this pandemic, I am one of many in Desborough and throughout the world who have been shielded for 20 weeks. It's surprising how the time has gone. With prayers, reading the Bible, and having these services and the thought for the day. It's helped a great deal. And I'm sure it's helped a lot of others too. And it's gone to a much further, wider audience too. With so many people that haven't even been into a church for many years. Those who are listening to my rambles, don't give up, because there's still something there for all to do. None of us are helpless. We still have something to do. And I bless everyone who has listened to my rambles. God bless you all. Amen.